Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine, and today we're welcome with Pastor CeeLo. How we doing, man?
Yes, good brother, good brother. How we doing? I'm doing great. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Very good. Very good. Yes.
I love it. Welcome to God's favorite podcast. I mean, that's what I put on a t-shirt, but that's what we're going with.
You know what? We're gonna see how the interview goes, and then I'm gonna talk to him. He gonna report back to me. I'll let you know. We'll go from there. Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good. Before we dive into your career and all that fun stuff, you want to shout out social media, let the followers know where to find you?
Oh, good people. You can find me everywhere. You can find me on the Book of Faces. They call it Facebook, but I call it the Book of Faces. You can find me on Instagram, Pastor.CeeLo. Facebook, Pastor-CeeLo. You can find me on the TikTok. You can find me on the Twitter. You can find me pretty much everywhere. 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 Yes.
Hey, okay. Simple first question, just like to start off nice and easy. When did Pastor CeeLo find wrestling?
Oh man. 2021 is when Pastor CeeLo started. Mega Championship Wrestling is where pretty much Pastor CeeLo has risen from. That's where it all started for me. But for the longest, like it took a while to really just like find the mix of my energy and something that I can kind of relate to individuals with. And my coach, Brandon Xavier, he gave me the idea. He's like, hey, have you ever done like a preacher, a pastor, a priest, or anything like that? And I was like, no, but I've done like a Southern voice before just for fun and things like that. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it. We'll see what happens. And the first promo I do, like, I'm asking them for money. I'm trying to preach the word. I'm trying to get the crowd to join in song and things like that. And everyone loved it. And it was like that perfect part to where like you can everyone's been around, some type of like preach, pastor. Everyone's
Yep.
seen, the funny ones on movies and stuff like that. I try to take the energy that I know I have built up inside and pretty much use that same to like preach the gospel, and it's not even just, stuff directly out the Bible. Sometimes it's just like funny quotes and things like that just to really get, uh just for humor, just for fun, just to kind of let loose.
Uh, Where do you take your biggest inspirations from for the Pastor CeeLo character?
Ah, man. I feel like my biggest inspiration, and the thing about it is I didn't even think about it at first when I started doing the character, but going back and watching tape, Devon Dudley, definitely a big inspiration when he did the Reverend Devon.
Okay.
Um, so amazing, but even with that, the humor just comes from. I know. Are you familiar with Friday?
Yep.
Yep.
I
So
love
like
it.
a little piece with the pastor there, just being, oh yes, brother, just kind of just really, getting into that. Um, but I know Devon was definitely a big inspiration, mainly because like he, other than other places on the indies, like like your Father Marquise, your Reverend Ron Hunt, Ron Hunt. You pretty much don't see a lot of people doing those religious like characters in wrestling and things like that. And he was one that did it on mainstream TV to where it was like, these are the things you can kind of hit, these are the things you can't hit because like religion is weird sometimes. Like
It,
some
it's
things you
a it's a
step
touchy
on,
subject.
exactly. So that's why I try to kind of stick to the funny stuff because you know everyone loves a little laugh. Everyone enjoys just kind of letting loose and not thinking about life. For 5 to 10 minutes. So
Gotcha. Were you a fan of wrestling growing up?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was not allowed to watch wrestling at a certain at a time frame during the Attitude Era when everything was just don't care. We're doing this, that, and other. That was around the time where I was like, no, no. Mom said can't watch it. But as I got older and started to catch up on um, a lot of wrestling that was going on around at the time. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. Those are two big ones that I watched. Like for technical wrestling, I've always loved their style. Um, I started to really get into it a lot more. Started doing it like backyard stuff with my friends. After school, we're always wrestling and things like that. And then at a certain point, it was like, what am I really doing anymore with my life? Like I have this passion for it. I love it. Why not try it and, kind of see where it goes. And since 2021, it's pretty much been going for me.
What about wrestling like really just made it click or fall in love?
The fact that I could fight people and not get in trouble. I got into a lot of fights as a kid. I'm not gonna lie. It's gotten me into a lot of trouble, but um, I've always liked to, play rough, but also a big thing that really it caught me then, but it really catches me now being in wrestling was the storytelling. That
Mhm.
was definitely like just falling deep into what's going on. And then now being a person that tells those stories inside the ring, it's mind blowing. And, even the crowd, like with internet nowadays, like people know like, oh, this may be real, this may, but the fact that for a split second within that story you really have their attention to their like, wait, what's really going, is this really happening? Like I love the suspense. I love seeing the looks on people's faces when something that they didn't think would happen. Like it's the storytelling is really like the biggest thing right now that grabs me about wrestling. The fighting, I love it, I enjoy it, but the storytelling, that's a big thing for sure.
Yeah, seeing as how like if we're looking at Pastor CeeLo, the character is such a big part of the whole presentation. Does that make the storytelling aspect even more fun than just getting in the ring and trying to tell a story about two guys wrestling for whatever reason?
Uh, it's kind of half and half because I feel like you kind of can't have one or without the other or anything like that. But when you're storytelling like through promos, through just talking and different things like that, you're able to really like show the emotion of what that character is feeling at that point in time. You can even open it up to um like different what's the word I'm looking for, um it's right on the tip of my tongue and I can't even get it. We'll put it this way. Pretty much like with promos, you can make it seem like one thing, but in the background, it may be something else that, may catch the viewer's eye or anything like that.
Okay.
With wrestling, I feel like nowadays, just my opinion, we do so much when it comes to just trying to get those big pops and big, oh, if we do this, it'd be get a crowd, big pop. Oh, if we do this, the crowd will be excited. One of my favorite matches right now up to date is my most recent ones with been with Carson Drake. And the biggest story was the fact that my arm was out of commission. That dude freaking destroyed my arm. It's still kind of good, but you know, um, the telling the story about pretty much not being able to use part of my body and still be able to put up a big fight, um, just being the underdog in the fight is probably one of my favorites because with how small I am of a character, I have to pretty much be the underdog in almost every match that I'm in.
Hmm.
But adding that little bit extra of, oh, he's down even more. He was up here in the match and now he's down here. How is he going to get up here to possibly win? It's like I said before, the suspense in it is what's just it's so amazing. I love it. I enjoy it.
I agree 100%. Earlier we talked about it a little bit, but you were talking about joining the sport in 2021. Was there a moment or a situation or like what made you decide to take that leap and go from fan to trainee?
Um, round that so I was doing a little bit of wrestling back in 2019. Placed in Youngstown Real Action Pro Wrestling. Um, and I wasn't trained. It was pretty much they kind of taught me what they needed me to do for that night, would go out, perform it, and that was pretty much it. Um, and I would always, message them like, hey, we got time to like train, show me some stuff. But the place that they were doing shows at was never available, like during the week. They could get it like once or twice a month. That was pretty much it. So it was kind of hard to train at that time. Um, and then of course COVID hit, pretty much shows stopped and stuff like that. But I would still message them like, hey, trying to train and stuff like that. I really want to learn. Like I want to be able to help and put on matches without just knowing, oh, you just need the bump for the night, or how do I put somebody in the head? Like I wanted to really like dive deep into it. So towards the end, I want to no, towards the middle of 2021, is when I started looking for wrestling schools in the area, and Mega was the school that I founded at that time. And from day one, like they taught me everything that I needed to know about being able to get around in the ring, pretty much all the basics, the advanced stuff, giving me a character. Like Mega has really given me probably the best starts. Um, I'm not going to say the best start because everyone starts differently, but the best start for myself in wrestling and all that.
What was that training like for you? Was it something that was a long road, or did you catch on to it easy? Like, explain to us what the training process looked like for you.
So the training process at that time, it was 3 days a week. We would go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it was pretty much just going through basic drills, learning how to bump. I'm not going to lie to you. I could not bump to save my life when I started. But, over time, got a little bit better over time. Um, but it was pretty much going through the basics, and then as you would go through that, they would show you like more advanced stuff. So like a lot of chaining, doing drop kicks, throwing clotheslines, like a little more advanced stuff at that time. um I started in July. Within that time frame, August, we started doing a show called Tuesday Night Turmoil. At that time, it was Tuesday night. Moved to Thursday nights now. Um, but I started in, I want to say June, July 2021. I was in the ring August of that same year. Now I'm not going to say like I got in there and I was doing this, that, and other, but I was able to at least like go in there and get through a match.
Okay.
Um, but over time with doing those, because they will record them, put them on YouTube, put them on Facebook, stuff like that. Over time, doing those kind of helped me with like learning the cameras, moving around the ring, being in, little practice matches to get me ready for, better matches and all that. So, the training, I mean, there's days where, it's just all cardio and we're just blowing ourselves up in the ring just so like when we're in a match, we don't have to worry about being, blown up. We can still move and things like that. Learning character work, learning for like we were taught everything, and we're still being taught. We're still learning every single day. Inside the ring, outside the ring, all that. So, but I
I,
enjoyed it. I always enjoy, the hard training.
I love it. Sometimes I've learned that the behind the scenes and the training process and the learning experience is almost more fun than actually partaking in whatever you're doing
For sure,
sometimes.
for sure. Because it's like, and especially with the individuals you're doing with,
Exactly.
because like the guys that you trained with, you sweat with, you've yelled at each other, like continue going, all that stuff. Like that's that piece that kind of makes it so much better. Like, yeah. You get to work that cool match in front of 100, 500, 600 people for 10 to 15 minutes, but the traveling there and back is where like it's all like memorable.
100%. You are about, I want to say 4 years, just over 4 years into
Yeah, just
your journey.
yes.
How important would you say Mega has been uh, to your career and to you so far throughout this journey?
Mega has been a huge, huge part. Brandon has, he's always made sure that his students, and that anybody there that, works at Mega, like they get seen. You're busting your ass, you're going to get seen. Um, like I said, with us doing turmoil, every week. We're always getting eyes on us, from different companies. We're getting, always getting newer fans watching us. Um, the shows that we do, like the Mega Mafia, they are some diehard fans when it comes to Mega. Like they love the characters, the crazy stuff that we do. They enjoy it. Like Mega was probably the best option when it came to training, because one thing that we were always told, like, I don't care about, what you do outside of here. I don't care about what color you are, that doesn't matter. Once you're here, you're a wrestler and you're going to be treated as a wrestler. And we were all treated, exact equals, and pretty much made sure like we helped each other bust each other's ass and get us up to the next level and all that. I really feel like Mega is pretty much producing some of the newest stars. And we're taking over. Mega's taking over for sure.
I love it. Um, you know, when you think about it, a lot of times, like people will say, winning a championship or getting a championship in a promotion is kind of like the promoter saying, "Good job." Now here's a little bit of responsibility.
For sure.
What was it like for you to become Mega Fighting Spirit champion?
Oh man. Um it's it's still it's still a crazy experience just to know that I was trusted to be one of the faces, of the company, not the top face, not the Bob, but pretty much to be a face of the company was definitely a crazy thing. And like I've always been taught, like it's never about the championships, the title doesn't make you, you make the title. So I mean, at that time frame, it was like, man, I gotta try and, make this a great and fun title reign, whatever ideas you have for me, let's do it, let's go. But it was cool because like I've seen a few different guys like hold that. I was like, man, if I could get it one time, that'd be cool. And then like the idea happens and it's like, wow, it was a great experience to have. Almost had it for a year, but I think I was shy like 364 days. So,
Yep.
but hey, just having it in knowing that I got to a point to where I could be trusted with that was pretty awesome.
What was your favorite defense in that near year long run?
Oh man, so many. Oh, I think, goodness, I defended that thing like 26 times, 26, 27. I think my favorite one that kind of pops out to mind was my triple threat match between me, RJ Jonesy, and Sebastian LaShawn. We did that on an episode
Mm,
of Turmoil. And anytime that I'm in the ring with those two, like we just do whatever, and it's so fun, and it's I just enjoy working with them both. So getting them both at the same time, I'm like, we're doing everything. We're going in. Let's try and tear down the house. I would say another a second one would be me versus Jonesy, because again, that was just we just did whatever just to have fun, that, and that's always the biggest thing with wrestling. It's like I want to have fun. If I'm not having fun, why am I here?
absolutely. What would you say like is next for you within the realm of Mega Championship Wrestling?
Um, I think at this point, with how things are going for me, I'm kind of eyeing the top belt. I'm
Okay.
kind of eyeing the I know that I can be a face. Now I want to be the face. Like I feel like once I've done that, I feel like it'll be almost kind of time for me to leave the nest a little bit, travel more, get out there. But before I even really think about that, I need to hold the keys to the castle for a little while. So I think that's Mega Champion is next thought on my mind right now.
Got you. Um, somebody that I've had on the podcast that spoke very highly of you and recommended me to get you on, was Pretty Boy Smooth. When did
My
when did
brother,
you
my
meet?
brother.
When did you meet Smooth?
So before Exodus, I
Mhm.
met him at a uh Sammy Callahan seminar. And we, chopped it up a little bit, cool and everything. And then when Exodus started, I was winning, battle royal after battle royal, winning check after check. And they're like, "Well, we need someone to cover you. You need a bodyguard. You need muscle." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I threw out some names. You know, they threw out some names. Didn't kind of mesh, and then they told me Pretty Boy Smooth, and I'm like, yes, absolutely. Let's do this." Um, and then from there, pretty much in Exodus, we've been this brotherhood. We've been this cohesive unit. And then now with EC3, it's gotten even better.
What was it like for you to be by his side during his Midwest Championship reign?
Oh, I loved it. I enjoyed it, because for a split second, it was, I was in the forefront with, trying to like collect all the money that, Mike from State Farm was, getting rid of for some reason. I'll take it. To him getting that opportunity for the title, winning the title, and now it's my job to make sure he doesn't lose the title. And because I'm so well on the mic, like I have almost no problems when it comes to cutting promos and talking to the crowd and things like that. It was so easy for me to step back, not have to worry about wrestling, not have to worry about taking bumps and stuff like that in the ring, and um just being able to allow him to do what he does, dominate in the ring and all that. But I enjoyed the reign, like him being the first NWA Midwest champion. So it's and to be like right beside him, during that, it was an honor. But I enjoy it. We're definitely quite a team for sure.
Is it different for you being on the outside of the ring during matches, kind of being in that manager or advocate role as opposed to being in the ring competing?
It was at first, yes,
Okay.
it definitely was. For years in and out of the ring and things. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say for years, for good 3 years. being in the ring and then going into a position of just being a manager, and all that. And, I still don't even look like I know now that I could play that position. So if,
Hmm.
let's say if wrestling doesn't work out for me, I know being a manager is next on my list. I have no problem doing that. But for the longest, it was like, man, everyone's here in Exodus is wrestling. I'm watching all these matches. I'm like, man, I want to get in with that guy. I want to get in with that guy. I want to get in with that guy. Um, so for a while it was weird, but understanding and knowing like, hey, this is the current role that I'm playing right now, and right now it's not for me, it's not my time, understanding that and pretty much taking that step back, like I said, it was hard at first, but after understanding that, it's something that you can deal with, like I have no problems, playing the background role for someone else because it's a team thing, at the end of the day, we're all working for this one company to help everybody, get over and all that. So, but no, nowadays, like I have no problem. The less bumps I have to take, the better.
Gotcha. Easier on the body.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, in the space of Exodus, TME has been a thorn in Pretty Boy Smooth's side, been a thorn in yours. Do you think those tag titles are in your guys' future, or are you still got to deal with Carson Drake? Like, what is what's the goal for you guys within Exodus?
You know, Carson Drake is oh god, that dude's a thorn in my side. Oh man. Um, um, I'll never say never on like, titles and things like that. There could be a possibility at some point, um, that me excuse me, me
Bless you.
and PB possibly go for the tag titles. It's whatever, the big heads at Exodus wants to do. But also at the same time, I he's gotten me twice. Carson has got me two times. One first time in our six man, second time 1-on-1. So it's like you kind of learn the little tricks that he's going to play, but then he comes out with new tricks.
Hmm.
So if we cross paths again, I feel like it'll be a different story at that time. But what right now, um, it's whatever the Overlord wants. So whatever EC3 thinks is our whatever the next thing is, pretty much whatever he decides. Um, but I mean, what I have, um, would I like to go for the tag titles? Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Why not? Why not have that ability of saying, yes, I fought for those titles once. Might have not got them, but I fought for them once. Um, but yeah, no, it's again whatever he decides that is next for us in the in Exodus Pro. That's where we'll take it and hopefully be dominant at that point in time.
What brought you into Exodus?
Um, the Overlord himself.
Okay.
I was doing a show at Ruthless Wrestling, Ricky Shane Page's promotion in Ohio. I'm not currently going at the moment. But I was doing and actually I was just doing a promo. I wasn't doing a match or anything like that. I went out, did a promo with RSP, and when I came back through the curtain after that promo, he was standing there. Now I had already seen him like walking through the locker room before that. But I was like, getting ready to get on stage and stuff like that. And I come back through and he looks at me and he shakes my hand. He's like, dude, I could make you a star. And I was like, oh, well, thank you. Like, I'm just taking it as a compliment and stuff like that. Um, and then I want to say this was a week before the first preface, or the not the first one, but the second preface.
Okay.
Um, buddy of mine, Dios Salvador, he's like, hey, dude, you should do the preface. It's definitely a good experience. Just come on and do it. I was like, all right, cool. Had another buddy, Ashton Day, same thing. It's like, hey, dude, come and do the preface. Great experience. You should really do it. So, I sent them an email, and they get back to me, and they're like, if you're who I think you are, we already have a spot for you on our first show. So I'm like, all right, cool. So, I go. I do the preface, and they pretty much tell me like, yeah, we want to, start doing a little storyline with you. Pretty much, you going through winning these battle royals from Mike from State Farm, getting all the State Farm checks, stuff like that. And yeah, it was pretty much just it was being at the right place at the right time. Um, and that's one thing that I've learned, like, if you have a chance to jump in a car, jump in a car. Like, I was scheduled to be there that night, so either way I was going to be there. But it's always being at the right place at the right time that kind of just got him. And then following through with actually going and really showing him my promo skills. He was like, yes, we have stuff for you.
Where do you think that comfortability on the mic comes from?
um it's literally, it's just me. It's
Uh,
it's it's just me as a person. One of the big things that I've always kept in my mind is our characters are us turned up to 1,000.
mhm.
So this is pretty much just my personality, but mixing in, the religious, the pastor aspect, and all that. But I've done, put it like this, I've done a lot of retail and sales in my life. So talking to people is pretty much something you have to do on a daily basis. So you just get so comfortable with being able to make a person comfortable talking with you and all that. And I feel like that helped a lot when with coming into wrestling, just being able to talk and, rebuttal and, things like that. So,
Earlier you kind of mentioned how like with the pastor or religious character, you kind of gotta go a certain way to try to not offend anybody or to go in the wrong route. Has there ever been anybody that's taken it to like taken it too far or out of context or had a problem with the religious undertones?
not yet. Not
Okay.
yet. I've not run into, and I kind of keep it to where it's like I'm using like the biblical stories,
Okay.
like Moses, splitting the seas, or um Cain and Abel, like just taking those stories, twisting them a little bit, adding a little humor and things like that. But
Okay.
no, not yet have I ran into, anyone like, oh, that's sacrilegious, or, anything like that, or, trying to throw holy water or anything like that on me. So, but no, I think like for the 3 years that I've been doing the character, um, 3.5, I'd say. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say about 3 years. That I've been doing the character itself. Like, I haven't run into any issues just yet.
Okay. This next question comes from a fan.
Yes.
Um, does 10% of what's taken in the basket go back to the church?
Man. Yes. 10% of that is put to the side for any church activities and things like that.
Okay.
Church activities is usually putting money into the church van so I can get to shows. Is pretty
That
much
makes sense.
it. But yes, and anytime that people put money in a basket, that usually that goes straight to the vehicle, for gas and stuff like that.
Hey,
So
it's
I'm
hard
always
out here.
appreciative, that they do that, because it's like, thank you, I can get home. So
It's look, I'm gonna give you your props because as far as like a gimmick or a character goes, bringing that out to, get donations might be the smartest character move you could possibly do.
And it's crazy because when I first did the promo, when he gave me the idea, my first thought was I need some type of tray. Like I need
Yes.
something to like try to
Some
get
offering.
money. So my first tray was a pizza tray. That was the first one that I used. And I popped on the promo, did the thing. He threw some money on it, boom. And from there, like I just kept going with it, bringing out the shows. And like there's there's been like a few times I'll bring it out for the first time on a show and people will be like, oh yes, throw the dollars in, throw this, that, and other. And then there's a few times where I'll be at a new place and people are like, are we really supposed to put money in there? So it usually takes like a show or two. They catch on, they're like, oh, okay, throw the dollars in. I've had so many random objects thrown in that thing
What's the
from
craziest one?
all right. So you know South Park, correct?
Yeah.
Mr. Hanky.
Okay.
I had Mr. Hanky in there. People have thrown condoms in there. People have thrown. I had a Wasp CD thrown in there once. Um, of course, fake money. That's always a funny one. People will throw fake money in there, which I encourage it. But I encourage real money better. So,
Obviously, it goes in
but
the gas tank.
exactly. You got to fill up the vehicle. Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, those are probably Mr. Hanky was probably the craziest because I'm like somebody really put a poo in my basket. That's crazy.
That's hilarious. If I did my research correctly, you've participated in a match or a show in a strip club, if I'm correct.
Yes, yes, that was Neo Pro. That was actually their first one back at that venue. So I think they did it like years ago or a long, long time ago or something like that. But that's also where I got the most donations, and it was $33 in that basket.
What is a pastor doing in a gentleman's establishment?
Um, Preaching the good word and also taking on the bad man of the Lord, aka Mr. Matthew Taylor. Um, but it was a fun show. It was a cool little show. I could definitely mark that off my bucket list. Like, hey, I was at a wrestling show in a strip club. It's pretty cool. So,
It's on there.
but yeah, so.
What is that the craziest venue you've been in, or has there been wilder?
That to at this moment that has been the
Okay,
craziest. Yes, yes.
got you, got you. Um, just because I am from West Virginia originally, I now
Yeah.
live in the Chicago area.
Okay.
I always love asking questions about what is your like fan interaction when you go to West Virginia shows because I usually get the wildest reactions or, activities that happen in West Virginia.
So for West Virginia, the only promotion actually I've worked two promotions out there. I worked Victory Championship Wrestling, which the fans there were very welcoming. No problems with like, they definitely enjoyed the character. But also Real Shoot Wrestling. They, do some shows out in West Virginia. Actually, I do a decent amount of their shows out in West Virginia. But same thing, very welcoming. Everyone's pretty much, starting or have become a fan of the character and everything like that. But I don't, again, yet have any crazy West Virginia stories, with like fans or anything like that. So
I can tell you from everybody I've ever talked to and from my own personal experience, guarantee you keep West wrestling in West Virginia, you're bound to have at least one crazy fan story because fans out there might be the wildest I've seen, and I've been to several states watching wrestling. That's
Okay.
crazy coming from a Chicago guy because usually you'll hear like a Chicago crowd's crazy or a
Yeah.
Philadelphia crowd's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think they've seen anything until you go out in the middle of a holler in West Virginia. That's when things get active.
Now I need to go back out so I can get one of them stories. Goodness.
Okay, of course. Just to jump back a little bit, I know I got off on something crazy, but what is your experience like working and learning alone? Working and learning alongside EC3.
Oh, that man is he has a crazy, crazy brain for the business, man. He know it. He's a big encyclopedia of knowledge to just feed off of. Being able to work beside him in NWA, to learn from him in Exodus, to just I feel like it's helped my character a lot more. I feel like it's helped with TV and stage presence a lot more. Um, he's just been an amazing individual to learn more and more of the business from. Um, and like at first, I'm not gonna lie to you, like intimidation for one, because like you've watched this individual on TNA, you watched him in WWE, and you're like, like, I don't feel like I should be standing next to you. I don't feel like I have that star power yet.
Yeah.
But like I said, after the last what want to say 2 years now, it's just been a great experience. Like I feel like I've learned so much, and I like I said earlier, like I'm always learning, so I know I'm going to learn more every single day. I talk to him about a match, or he watches my match and gives me even more creative idea of how to do something. Like it I love the spot that I'm in right now, and then being able to learn from guys up in NWA and people that come in through Exodus and all that. Like it's great. It's amazing.
100%. I think my favorite part or thing about EC3 is the kindness and his ability to care for everybody, whether you're a fan or somebody walking down the street or you guys and girls in the ring. Like I've had him on the podcast once, and I've been to several Exodus shows, and the what's the word for it? Just how receptive he is to what you're saying and the
Yeah,
feedback he gives. Like I had the podcast with him on here. We talked for over an hour, and then afterwards proceeds to get off. And without asking, he's like, "Look, just I can tell you might be a little new at this, and this. Maybe work on this, and this. You did really well."
yeah.
And then proceed to have another like 45-minute conversation about whatever. And
Oh,
like just giving him, he'll give you the time of day, and he'll give you he loves to give his knowledge and to
for
help
sure.
other people's learn.
Oh,
And I love
absolutely,
it about him.
absolutely. Like anything that you want to know, he has either the answer or he can get you in the right direction of the answer. Like there's never been a time where I've asked him for help and I've not felt overflowed with help when it comes to him, for sure. Absolutely.
What made yourself EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth kind of decide to come together as the Holy Grail?
Um so with that, I want to say with that it's pretty much his way of trying to get us more seen within WA.
Okay.
I feel like with the stage presence of PB Smooth and the just insane mic capabilities that I offer, and then the full star power that EC3 has, it's kind of hard to overlook the Holy Grail as a whole. And I figured like, and again, this is my thinking. I'm not sure, exactly, what the idea may have been, but it's like, how do you overlook this crazy faction of three awesome characters in one spot? Like, how do you how do you do that, And I think he really wanted to take the strongest pieces of each of us and kind of mold it into one thing. So, but the idea coming into it was pretty much, hey, let's let's kind of do the whole Exodus kind of taking over and things like that over, NWA, and then it kind of got smaller to just me, PB, and him. Um, but like I said, I feel like this was definitely the way for him to like, hey, you guys need to be seen. Like this is hard to it's hard to overlook this talent in this humongous pool of indie wrestlers, and he he knows what he's doing, and I've trusted him every step of the way when it comes to you know being ready to be in front of like the NWA crowd, the NWA roster, and all that. So, but yeah, I just feel like that's his way of kind of bumping us up to the next playing field.
What would you say are like some of the goals that the Holy Grail has as a team?
Uh, Tag team titles. Like,
Okay.
how to like that, that's the first thing. We've made ourselves seen in the Crockett Cup. We've made ourselves seen on episodes of Power. Now it's time to go for the tag team gold, and I feel like that's the next thing for PB and the next thing for E, and I will be in that corner ready to do whatever's needed to help them achieve that. So.
What's your experience been like working with NWA?
Oh, crazy. To going from driving show to show to flying to shows to um really learning Die Hard like TV time and script, and working on the indies has been a blessing to be able to do. Working with Exodus was something that I extremely needed for me to get to the NWA because man, it's they're on top of everything. Um, but it's been cool to watch and learn everything backstage. It's been cool to, bump shoulders with people that have been doing this for years, that have been with the NWA for the longest, to, getting to know William Corgan, like it's been such a crazy experience, and I'm still getting my feet wet with it, it's I'm still, chipping away. Um, but I'm so happy with the fact that they accepted me to be someone, you know to be a part of the roster, so
What have your interactions been like with William Corgan?
um he one has a very awesome shoe collection because this dude comes in with the greatest shoes. He's definitely a Nike guy. Freaking love it. Like I'm always tripping off of what he's coming in with. But it's been good. It's been great. Um, definitely. He likes what he sees. My first time meeting him is when we were doing the president of the territories and all that,
Hmm.
and I wasn't exactly sure what my part was going to be, coming into this, but then finding out, oh, I'm one of the candidates for this, little election that we're doing. So my my biggest thing was like, all right, whatever this promo is, I have to blow it out the water. So I start going, I go, I go. They had to cut for a second because I was too loud for the mic because I'm letting it all out at this point. Um, but pretty much his words to me is like, we threw you in the deep end and you did not disappoint. So hearing that from, the man that owns all this is like, yes, like I'm in good graces right now. Now I got to keep, every time it's got to be better and better and better. Um, but yeah, I've not a dull moment with him. He has stories for days. But it's been awesome, to kind of be in that position.
Fantastic. How has the NWA joining Roku changed maybe the landscape of NWA as a whole?
Oh man, it's hard for me to really say how it changes as a whole, but if I'm as, let's say, as a fan,
Hmm.
being able to, go onto my TV that pretty much everybody has nowadays is a smart TV, or you have a smartphone, or you have a
Yep,
tablet, and for free be able to watch NWA with no extra costs and things like that. I feel like that is a huge game changer. And I feel like it's a big game changer going from X because not everybody was using X, probably.
hmm
Now everyone has a phone, everyone has a tablet, everyone uses some type of Roku device. So I feel like that gets a lot more eyes on the product itself. Um, I feel with us always promoting the product gets more eyes on it and all of that. But I feel like the Roku deal I feel like that was definitely a big, big move for NWA for sure.
definitely. Last question, then I'll let you go. We talked about maybe your goals in Mega, your goals as a team with a Holy Grail, but what are some of your goals going into, for yourself for the foreseeable, let's say until the end of the year?
Um, my goal right now is to travel more, get over into Canada, get into Mexico. I mean, I've worked Ohio, I've worked PA, I've worked Alabama, I've worked Florida, I've worked New York, Utah, Michigan, Indiana, West Virginia. But I want to work them all. Like I want to like a Pokemon master. I want to catch them all, you know. But yeah, I definitely want to, do more traveling. I want to get out there more. And knowing now, because like my schedule is pretty much filled up to the brim almost. I know that's probably going to be a bigger goal for next year. Because I'll have a clean slate. All right, let me look at some of the places that I know I can get to, and let's do it. No more. Like I love Ohio. I love Ohio. It's my home. But if I can do less in Ohio and more everywhere else and get my name out there more, I feel much better about that. So it's definitely traveling, getting out there more is definitely the goal for sure.
Perfect. Pastor CeeLo, I just want to say thank you so much. It was an honor having you on here. If you ever want to
Appreciate
come on
it.
for an update, I'd love to have you. I love doing updates, getting you guys back on here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. I know we did at the beginning of the program, but just in case they missed it for whatever reason, would you like to shout out your social medias again?
Yes, yes, yes. I will shout out my social medias. I am on the Book of Faces. That is Facebook, Pastor/CeeLo. You can find me on the Instagram, Pastor CeeLo, but that's with a dot. You can find me on the TikTok at Pastor CeeLo, and you can find me on X at Pastor CeeLo. Yes.
Perfect.